What are some of the dangers we face out on the road? Stick around to find out and I'll let you know. Alright guys, I am back, finally. Sorry it's been a couple weeks, man. It has been a busy, chaotic couple of weeks for me. And I see that my subscriber base has grown. I can't begin to thank y'all enough. It's amazing to see that I'm at 80 now. Man, for me, it's amazing. It blows my mind. The fact that 80 people now want to come back and watch my videos blows my mind. I really, really, really appreciate it, guys. Y'all are awesome. I'm thinking about at 100 subscribers of doing a live Q&A. If y'all are up for that, let me know in the comments, man. I will totally be down for that. And yeah. So today's video is going to be like a list of 10 things the dangers that we face out here on the road. So that being said, let's jump right in. So number one is fatigue and distractions. Being tired can really hurt you, kill you, can do a lot of damage to the vehicle. It could do a lot of things out here. The amount of times I see drivers have accidents out here because they're tired, or hear about accidents because people are tired, is through the roof. It's a lot higher than it really should be. My first year driving, I actually had what they call a micro sleep, which is a quick, literal sleep. You don't even know that you fell asleep. You just, boom, boom, that's it. Kind of like being knocked out by a boxer. No different. It's like the Sandman comes around and just knocks you out, you know, and you quickly come back real quick. But when you quickly come back, you're anywhere between a quarter to half mile to a mile down the road, and you're, how did I do this? Happened to me one time, and what woke me up was a rumble strip, and so I immediately got back on the road. And then the second time, I woke up to the sound of dirt. And luckily, I was in the middle of I-10 in California, in the middle of nowhere. Thank God it was midnight, nobody was on the road. But at that point, I said, I am done. And my trainer kept saying, you got to keep driving. That was the one time I told my trainer, stick it up your butt, you can drive the truck for all I care. And I immediately crawled in the bunk, went to bed. I knew I was not safe to drive. Don't be afraid to tell your dispatchers, stick it, because your dispatcher is not driving this vehicle. They're driving a computer. All they have to do is sit there and that's all they have to do. They're not driving the truck. They're not facing the dangers that we are. They're not falling asleep. They're not facing the possible convictions that we are if we fall asleep and hurt somebody behind the wheel. That's one thing you have to remember. So for me, the ways I stay awake, got a Bluetooth in. I'll listen to podcasts, I'll listen to audiobooks, I'll talk to my friends, I'll listen to music, whatever. That's how I try and keep myself awake. But most of the time when I'm listening to my music, I'm blasting the hell out of it in my truck, man. So I mean, not like seeing somebody going down the road, you know, everybody, yeah. Sorry, had to get that out. But yeah, you gotta find ways to keep yourself awake. And if you have time, stop and do a quick 30-45 minute power nap. Try to keep it under an hour, because if you keep it over an hour, that's when you could actually hit your deep sleep or REM sleep, which once you get to that point, you might as well just stay asleep, because once you hit that, your body's in rest mode at that point. A quick 30-minute, 45-minute power nap kind of powers your brain down momentarily, gets you time to just be sedentary, lets your body relax. You're good. Energy drinks don't really do a whole lot for a lot of people, me included. I used to drink them like they were going out of style. To be honest, I still drink them like they're going out of style. Drink them mainly because it's something that I'm used to at this point. No different than if I smoke a pack of cigarettes or, you know, vape, stuff like that. Yeah. So another big deal with us is distractions. Cell phone usage, computer usage, stuff like that. The amount of accidents I see on the road from somebody texting on their cell phone, or, believe it or not, using their computer while driving on the road as like a businessman or whatever, or even using your Qualcomm when you're going down the road. That quick 5 seconds, you're looking up, you're looking down at your phone, then you look back up, next thing you know, you're in the rear end of a car, and you just unalived a whole family. And guess what? DOT doesn't care if it was a very important text message, a very important message from your dispatcher, whatever. You're going to jail. For example, earlier this year in just outside of Waco, there was a really bad and a really sad accident. A vehicle had lost control and hit a center divider just outside of Waco, Texas, and a volunteer fireman was outside trying to help the person. Well, an 18-wheeler wasn't paying attention and actually hit the fireman and unalived him. And it was horrific. It really was. And fortunately, I did not see the accident, but I did see the aftermath because I had gone right past it as soon as it happened, and it sticks right here with me. And it's horrible to see that. But the worst part about that whole thing was that truck driver took away somebody's brother, father, son, just like that. And you have to keep that in the back of your mind that more than likely that guy is going to prison for a long time, and that can easily be you. What I also saw was that truck driver sitting outside the truck on the ground with his hands in his face, or his face in his hands, just bawling, because he knew he was done. And unfortunately, he was probably bawling because, one, he did kill somebody, and that's something you could never get over, ever. Not only that, he probably knew his life was over. So not only did he take somebody's life, now his kids, his wife, his parents might not see him for years, decades. There's no telling. I mean, you can face vehicular manslaughter or possible vehicular murder. And it sucks, but that's the consequences of texting on a phone while driving or playing on a computer or whatever. You can really do a lot of damage out here. You're in an 80,000-pound vehicle. This is not a toy. This is a very heavy piece of machinery. So keep that in mind if you ever drive, period, whether you're in a car or a truck, that it's not only your life out here. You've got millions of other people out here that you got to watch out for. So keep that in the back of your mind whenever you're driving and you decide to pull that cell phone out, man. I try to keep any interactions with my phone as minimal as possible. Normally, I'm always, getting my Bluetooth to connect to my phone, where I just say, hey, don't want to say her name because she'll trigger in the video. Kind of like the whole Alexa thing, Alexa, how can I help you? So, yeah. Sorry, don't mind me. I'm tired trying to keep myself awake for the video. So, number 2, road conditions. This can be a very fun one. Driving way too fast for road conditions is probably one of the biggest issues out here. I'm sure some of y'all fellow drivers out here know exactly what I'm talking about when I say the FedEx trucks that are going way too fast, or the UPS trucks, or even back in the day the yellow trucks, whatever they were, that were just driving obtusely fast down the road when all the other drivers around them were doing 25, 30 miles an hour. You can easily look up on YouTube, pile up on interstate, and boom, you see a 50, 100, 200 car pile up. For example, in my home state, Waco, during the 2021 blizzard, the pile up that happened in Waco, that was horrible. And as you know, the last truck in that pile up that got recorded was a big Federal Express truck, and he was going way too fast for road conditions. Way too fast. You got to be careful out here, man. You really do. There is no reason to be driving 70 miles an hour on the ice. Really, there's no reason to be driving on the ice, period. I know in my little town that I live in, shut down during the storm. I mean, we didn't get fuel deliveries. We didn't get grocery deliveries. Hell, we didn't have power or water anyway, so it wasn't like it even mattered. Couldn't cook or drink anything. Thank God I had a whole bunch of canned soup I could heat up over a flame, And it sounds real primitive, but we went 4 days without power and 3 days without water. So luckily my missus always fills up the gallon jugs and puts them aside. That way we at least have something, So I mean, yeah, everything's shut down around us. I wouldn't even get in my truck to go drive anywhere at that point. And I'm talking my pickup truck back then. So for me, if it's icy, I ain't driving. If it's rain, I slow down. If it's snow, I slow down drastically, because where there's snow, there tends to be ice. Another thing you got to remember is the icy bridges. Bridges ice up quicker before the road does. Oh, sorry, excuse me. And so when you're coming down a road, you got to remember, if you're coming up a curvy overpass or whatever, anticipate the ice. Always anticipate that. Remember, guys, we were starting to get really close to wintertime. For example, it was like 78 degrees out here in Oklahoma where I'm at, and it's dropping down to 42 tonight. Yes. I love the cold. I hate the heat, man. Defying the irony, I live in Texas where it gets 110. Hate it. But another part of the conditions is knowing your limits. For example, today, I shut down early because of the wind. The wind was extremely high today. And if I had a heavy load, no problem. I don't care, Normally the loads that I pull out of the house, though, are usually light loads. I'm either carrying like potato chips or styrofoam plates, stuff like that. So usually my loads coming out of the house weigh anywhere between 10 to 12,000 pounds, which is nothing. For a box that could carry 48,000 pounds, it's nothing. And we had sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 50 in this area. But the further north I was supposed to go, the higher it was supposed to get. And I noticed the further north I was going, the higher it was getting. And I'm right below the Kansas border. I mean, I could throw a rock to the Kansas border from where I'm at. I'm in Tonkawa, Oklahoma tonight. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's where I shut down. I pulled off for a minute. I looked at Facebook at our trucker group on Facebook for our company, and I noticed a lot of people in Kansas who were either light or empty were already shutting down as well because of the wind. So I was like, well, you know what? Let me look at the wind advisory. And I noticed the further north I went, the higher the gust went and the longer it was supposed to sustain. And so where I'm at now, it was gusting at 55. Where other drivers were, it was gusting almost 80 miles an hour. And so I go, this big boy is a big boy, but he can't hold the truck down with his weight alone. So that's where I said, no, I'm done. I've got till tomorrow to deliver it. So I'm not in a rush. I'm out here all week. So, know your limits. That's a huge thing. A huge, huge thing. Don't be pushed by your dispatcher to deliver a load. It doesn't matter how important the dispatcher says that load is. It doesn't matter if it's a load that we had to have it there yesterday. Well, you should have had it delivered yesterday then. Not my problem. Don't let them push you because they want to keep their reputation golden. You need to worry about your reputation too. Because at the end of the day, your dispatcher is not going to come to your aid. They're not going to be your backbone and go, I told them to do it. They're going to go, I don't know what I'm talking about. So don't let your dispatchers put you. Just sell them. Stick where the sun don't shine. If you don't like it, let me talk safety. That's all it takes. That'll shut the conversation down quick. But also don't be afraid to test your limits as well. If it's a little bit of rain and you don't like driving in the rain, push yourself a little bit. Don't be stupid, but push yourself a little bit. You got to learn to drive in inclement weather, but you also have to learn to not be stupid in inclement weather, which is what a lot of drivers don't know the difference between. So, know your limits, test your limits sometimes, but just don't be stupid about it. So, number 3, mechanical failures. That could be a huge issue out here on the road. It really, really can. Say you're going down the road, you forgot to grab oil from your mechanic shop, and you run low on oil when you're going down the road. A lot of these newer engines have a low oil shutoff on them. So if your oil starts getting low, it'll automatically shut the engine off to stop it from blowing up. And so you're in the middle of Orla, Texas. No cell phone service. The only people driving by are people that are in a hurry. Well, if you ain't got no cell phone service and your next truck stop is 40 miles that way or 140 miles that way, what are you going to do? You can stand out in front of that truck and hope he stops, because a lot of those guys are oil haulers who get paid by the load and they don't care about stopping for no one unless you're hauling a tanker or a frac sand container. They tend to just drive right by dry vans and reefers, just kind of bye. So keep that in mind. Always carry extras. Always carry a little tool set with you where if you break down the middle of nowhere, you can at least fix something minor. You know, if it comes down to it, if I have to, I carry a pantyhose in the truck. You know, I'm not an after hours call girl, I swear, but I carry a pantyhose in the truck. So if I do throw a belt, it's not going to last forever, but it might get me down the road to hook up to the alternator, the crank, and the water pump. Won't last forever, but it might get me 3 or 4 miles down the road. That's my excuse, by the way. I carry them for a different reason. Number 4, sorry guys. Other drivers. Oh my gosh. How many times have you gone down the road and thought the Stevie Wonder Institute for Trucking were the worst out there? Well, my friend, there's a worse one. And their big picture thing that they have is A to Z with an arrow pointing to both sides. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Prime. And I'm not talking about Prime Trucking, I'm just talking about Prime. That's it. Amazon Prime. They have some of the worst drivers on the road. And they are some of the dumbest on the road. Be careful around those guys, man. They don't care where you're at. Just today, for example, when I was pulling onto the interstate, now I know it's my responsibility as I'm pulling on to get on as safe as possible and match speed of traffic and all that. This Prime truck, just driving down the road, just looking right at me getting on. Had nobody in the lane next to him, nobody behind him, and still, I had to slam on my brakes. Which, once again, I understand it's my responsibility to get on at a safe speed and merge when it's safe. But just get over, dude, like seriously. But then at a truck stop, some of those guys are flying 40 miles an hour through a truck stop, get hit quick, you know? I don't wear my safety vest when I'm at a truck stop. I'm not gonna be that sore thumb that sticks up like a pimple, you know? I'm not gonna be that guy. Sometimes I feel like I need to, but I just feel like it makes it more of a target for me, you know? And I know some other guys, you know, me included, look at them and be like, oh, 10 points. So, but other drivers could be a huge issue out here. And there's a lot of them that don't have proper training. They just they're in a hurry to get anywhere, or they're told by their dispatcher to hurry up, or they just plain old suck at driving. So, other drivers could be a huge issue. Keep your eye on them. Number 5, little or no training. And this was kind of what we were talking about with the fatigue and inclement weather and the crappy driving. Little or no training could be a serious issue out here. It could be the difference between knowing what to do in a sticky situation and shutting down in a sticky situation. The amount of drivers out here that I see that have almost no training when they're backing up, when they're just driving in general, when they're trying to merge, or those freaking jack wagons that stay in the middle lane everywhere they go that you just want to throttle their neck. Yeah, there's a lot of that out here. That can be a pretty big danger because you can become a wreck on a wreck at that point. There is no reason to be doing 50 miles an hour in that middle lane, and there's no reason to be just put behind the wheel with 3 or 4 weeks of training at all. You know, you should have a lot more than that before you start driving one of these things. And I know back in the day, a lot of the old timers, that's how they learned. But back in the day, we didn't have a lot of distractions, no cell phones, no stuff like that. We don't have the amount of traffic we had 30, 40 years ago. I live in Austin, man, where traffic, it's a constant out there. I know how to drive out there, thank God, but there are people that don't. And it's like watching a bunch of out-of-towners and 18-wheelers just driving like they're stupid, you know? So keep that in mind. If you go to a training company to get your training, learn as much possible, cram as much in here, and if you can't, paper, use that, write it down, have yourself a little cheat sheet. So number 6 is injuries. Oh, I've had my fair share of those. 4 concussions, a fractured jaw, herniated disc in my back, a fractured elbow, broken ankle. I mean, the list goes on. The amount of injuries I've had is way up there. could be from opening up your back door and not doing it correctly, how you should, which is stand up against the door that's not currently open and open the door like that and let it fall if there's something coming out behind you. Don't try and catch those boxes as they're falling. If you notice a box is falling, try and shut the door, and if you can't, get the hell away from the door, because once those boxes come, they're coming. You could be carrying tires, you could be carrying boxes of nails, hell, you could be carrying boxes of rocks. You're not going to catch them. They're going to hurt when they hit you. They can do some damage when they hit you. For example, I was actually in a tire recycling business for a while, and the amount of times I'd open up the trailer and I'd have to stand up against it because you'd open it up and just tires come flying out. One of the worst injuries I actually had was we had aluminum ramps that weighed about 100 pounds. I was sliding them off the trailer to get our Bobcat off the truck, and it actually fell off a stack of tires and went straight down. Well, when you got the cantilever effect, that side went down, this side came up, and my face took the full brunt impact of it. Thank God I stopped that ramp from breaking. So it came up, hit my jaw, went past my jaw, slammed down on my head. And I was in Colorado City, Texas when this happened, and I drove back to Burnet, Texas. About 5-hour drive, and by the time I got back, I was lightheaded, my jaw hurt, I thought I did some damage. And of course, I didn't go to the hospital when I was out there. I waited till I was almost home. And when I finally went to the hospital, they thought I was faking until they did x-rays to realize I had a massive concussion and a fractured jaw. And so, yeah, I was pretty fudge popsicled up. So, injuries can be a huge thing out here. I've fallen out of my truck on accident by missing that step, getting out of my truck, and just boom, right onto my back. I have pulled my back. I've fallen off the back of flatbeds. I mean, there's been a number of things I've done to myself. Man, injuries can be a pretty big issue out here. You got to remember, too, you might be that young buck that could take them. But when you're 50 years old, they're going to come back to haunt you. So keep that in mind. Number 7 is a little weird, but I kind of feel it needed to be included, and that's ergonomics. And when I say ergonomics, I mean like just sitting. That could be a huge issue. Going down the road, say everybody's favorite US highway, US 69/75. Oh, that will beat the living hell out of you, man. Potholes big enough to swallow smart cars. Every time I go down that road, by the time I am done, I got to go to a chiropractor because my back is shot at that point. And then, yeah, it hurts because you're taking the full brunt. And I do the stupid thing. I don't ride with air in my seat because I don't like bouncing around, which is probably an issue. I have a lot of back problems, but it doesn't help the case either. So, same thing with beds. If you don't have a very comfortable bed, that good night's sleep might be a horrible night's sleep when you wake up with a backache, anything like that. So kind of keep that in mind. Like I said, it was kind of a weird thing to put on the list, but I feel it needed to be included anyway. Because I mean, you also got to think about it when it comes down to it. Ergonomics could really include your diet out here as well. And a lot of people don't have a decent diet. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I come out here on the road and me and Ronald are best friends every day, or I'm going to visit the king every day, you know. So, but like this week, for example, I've got plenty of food. I've got sausages, I've got chicken. If y'all want some more cooking videos, hit me up and I'll show you some cooking videos this week too as well. So let me know in the comment section or shoot them at my email, then I'll put that in the description. Kind of give me some more ideas. So that being said, number 8. Oh, this one's a fun one. Chemical and biohazard spills. So these can be a huge issue. Chemical spills can be a big issue, and it could be as simple as somebody hitting your truck, breaking a pipe, whatever, and it's chemical spills everywhere. Or it could be as simple as you decide you don't need to wear your PPE that day, and you start opening up a valve, and next you know your skin's melted off because you got a little bit of acid on there, whatever. Man, that could be a huge issue out here. Biohazard spills. I've been involved in a couple of those. Used to be a septic tank driver, or septic tank sucker out, or dude. Used to drive a septic truck. Oh, the amount of times yours truly was covered from head to toe in human feces was more than I care to count. My final straw actually was when I was changing out a pipe, or when I was pulling the hose off. I had told my boss several times, we need to change out the valve. And he kept saying, I'll order it, I'll order it, I'll order it. Well, finally he said he ordered it and changed it out. Well, apparently he didn't, or he just wanted me to do the job that day. And I went to go pull the hose off, and as soon as I pulled the hose off, I was not happy. And I immediately just drove the truck back to the shop, walked in, threw my keys down, said, I quit, I am done. Having a small cut on your hand, whatever, can turn that little biohazard spill into the worst case of MRSA, worst case of staph, worst infection you've ever had in your life. Man, it could be a huge issue out here. Biohazard could also include things like wearing sandals when you go take a shower as well, because you get staph that way as well. I would consider that a biohazard, because I mean, have you seen some of these trucker showers and bathrooms? They're, you know, bleh. Man, keep PPE on your truck. PPE, personal protective equipment. I'm not saying P several times. Keep PPE on your truck at all times if you're in the industry that needs it. You know, if you're hauling tanker and you're doing the unloading and you've got chemicals or fuels or anything of that nature, keep PPE with you. You know, if your job requires it, they require it for a reason. They're not doing it just to keep insurance costs down. They're doing it because they want to protect you. As much as you think they don't, they're really trying to protect you. So, I mean, granted, they're doing it more for their end, but it's going to help you as well. So, yeah, that could be a huge issue. Number 9, hijackings. Just plain old safety in general. The amount of neighborhoods I've gone through and just sat there going, I'm in the wrong neighborhood. Like, I'm sure y'all remember National Lampoon's Vacation, the original one, where they hear the gunshot, roll them up, block them. And there's times where I don't sleep at night because you're in a really crappy area. Been there a couple times, not a fan of it. Not a fan of sleeping in crappy neighborhoods. I have heard stories of hijackings that happen when you're stopped at a red light. They pop open that back door and they start pulling all your stuff off your truck without noticing it. And you get up to the shipper or the receiver and you open up that back door going, and here we go, whoa. You know, or they just pull you out of the truck, or they pull a gun on you, or they pull a gun on you and tell you to get back here. So, hijackings can be a huge issue out here. Safety in general can be a huge issue out here. I carry a Louisville Slugger, one of the baby ones, the tire thumpers, and won't do a lot of damage, but it'll sure hurt them. It'll hurt them enough for you to be able to step on the gas and GTFO, you know. And so, if you're ever in the middle of a bad area and a car pulls out in front of you and tries to stop you, remember, you weigh a lot more than that car, and you're going to do a lot more damage to that car than they're going to do to you. So remember that if you ever get to a possible hijacking scenario, you have a weapon. It's called a Freightliner, a Mack, a Peterbilt, Kenworth. Who cares if you scratch it up? Would you rather have a scratch truck, or would you rather have your family bury you? Keep that in mind on that one. Number 10 is social welfare. Be a huge issue out here. The amount of drivers I talk to that I just sit here and go, holy crap, bro, you need to start talking to people, is way out there. Not like talking to somebody and all of a sudden the whole entire conversation just goes, yeah. That can happen from literally staying in your truck nonstop, staying out here on the road nonstop, having no interaction with anybody but truckers. And I'm not saying talking to truckers is a bad thing, but when that's all you do, you start losing your social skills. And the more you lose them, the less people want to interact with you, period. And the more of a recluse you become. And basically, you put yourself into solitary confinement in your truck. You start losing what's going on up here. And the more that starts getting disconnected, the more loopy-headed you get. And the more InfoWars you go. And so, and I'm not saying that anybody watched InfoWars is crazy. What I'm saying is you start going a little nutso, you know? So that can be a pretty big issue out here. It can also be the bane of a lot of mass injury events, stuff like that, because they just get to the point where anybody who says this, they're the evil people, whatever, you know, and that could be the bane or the start of it. So, you know, try and talk to people. If you see somebody struggling, you know, don't be afraid to call, whatever. If you see them looking like they're going to do something, don't be afraid to be the one person that calls, because, I mean, who knows? He could be the next dude who does bad things on the road, or he could just be a little aggravated somebody called on him, but happy somebody at least checked on him. I know I would be. I'd be aggravated in the moment, but I'd at least go, well, at least somebody cared enough to see that I needed some help, you know? So those were 10 of the dangers we face out here. I know some of the list is kind of, you know, but like I said earlier, I'm thinking about doing a 100 subscriber live stream Q&A. If y'all are down for it, let me know in the comments, man. I am totally down to do that. And if enough people want to, I'll put up a community tab for y'all to ask questions that y'all want answered in the Q&A. I will totally do that. I'll only do it if the video gets 1 million likes. Joking. I'm really joking, I swear. I love you guys. I really do. I'm not cynical, I swear. But I really hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Once again, Amazon affiliate links for all the products I use while driving. Got my email listed in there as well. And I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Send me some more ideas, cooking videos, whatever. We'll see you on the